everyone, my name is Carla Keen and we are here today to teach you how to begin to put in some shape to create your Bichon Frise breed standard trim. So when you look through the breed standard of the Bichon Frise in your Kennel Club book, you will notice such words as elegant, handsome, centre of attention, stylish, and basically an extrovert. So you really want to see a trim that is going to turn heads and really get people looking at your dog. So when you start looking at the body bits, what we really want to see is a nice level top line. We want to see nice strong thighs, a nicely bent stifle and some well angulated hocks up the back end. We want to see some really well sprung ribs. We want to see a nice strong fore chest with a deep brisket. We want to see the legs straight and parallel, and we want to see a nice crest coming up here to show off your really high and proud head positioning. Okay, so let's get started. You want a really well prepped dog. If you don't have a well prepped dog, you won't ever get a nice trim. Hope you get my darling, and preferably one that's not really sleepy. So we're going to start by scissoring in the top line. Okay, so the neck should be roughly a third of the whole body. So we're going to scissor from the rear end forwards, and we're going to scissor in squares to make sure we have a nice balanced top line. Okay, so make sure she's stacked right, and scissor across and back, and across and back. This girl has about 3 weeks growth, so we haven't got a crazy amount of hair, but we've got enough to show you what we're aiming for. Okay, so then what we want to do, make sure the tail is in position. Okay, so the tail should be carried over the body. Stand there, Scark. Good girl, let me try it. The tail should be set in line with the body, carried over the top. You don't want the bone touching the back, you literally just want the hair there. Okay, so holding it in position, finding your sit bone here, your point of buttock, you would like to create a nice rounded line to meet the top line. Okay, from there you want to get a nice angulated area here. So what I tend to do, it's going to be a little bit hard with the camera, is come underneath, I hold the knoy bits, and then come in from the side, always holding the knoy bits because that is the last bit that you want to cut. Put in the shape of the bun. Okay, so you've got your top line and your back line set. Okay, up the front end, to get this nice high head carriage, you need to put a little V in underneath the chin. One big V under there, so you can show a lift of the head. Okay. So there we want to have the point of shoulder here. You can find that with your hand. I like to sit straight down, so in line with the point of shoulder that we've just found. And then show it off by removing the hair in front of it. Okay, so now we've put in our front, our back and our underline we're going to leave until I've curved the ribs in. Okay, so what I'm going to do from here gradually work a nice curved shape down the sides. Making sure you know where your ribs are. And basically following them. Okay. This is where your scissor skills come in, so making sure you've been doing your scissor exercises. Scissoring the ribs in. Okay. It's important to get down so you can see what you've got going on underneath. Okay? From there, I've got my ribs sorted. I'm going to go now to the back end. I'm going to forget about the body and I'm going to look at the back legs. Okay? So, up you get, my darling. Good girl. Looking from the back end, making sure the dog's facing forwards. Forward you go. Good girl. I'm going to fluff up. The back leg. Stand. Head. And you're going to trim either side nice and parallel, following the line that you've just made in the body straight down. So I've done the outside, create a little bit of space there. Come on, my darling, up you come. Well done. Straight down the inside line. So you've got a parallel back leg. It's important to keep combing the whole way through the trim because with having such a light corkscrew coat, it makes it drop quite quickly. Okay, so as you can see, one side down, one side not. Nice parallel leg on this side. Okay, so what I'm going to do is come in from the front. Now we've done the back. Stand. Good girl. Well done. Just going to tidy up. So, we want to get these feet sorted before we start the upper leg. I'm going to change for a pair of small curved scissors, very small curved scissors. I'm going to fluff the hair up around the feet because you don't want to take anything from the side, you just want the bottom. Okay, so here, I'm going to sit the scissors flat to the pads and just lightly trim around the edge, the bits that overhang, the sides, obviously where I've clipped the pads out. Okay? Back down. Come on, my darling, stand. So from here, I'm going to go back straight out to my straights. Come in and create we've done the back, and now we need to work on the side after we've done the front. So from here we want nice angulated stifles. So we don't want to take too much from the front here at the top. We want to create that curve and then go almost straight down to the foot. Okay, so I'm concentrating more on the lower leg because she was taken quite short not so long ago. Okay, so you can see we've got more of a bend here just by removing mainly that lower part. Okay, so just the tips off at the top, because you need the length here and the length here to create the bend in the hair. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So here we've got the top of the leg more defined now. We've got the ribs put in. So I'm going to create the actual underline. You can see nice and low. Just tidying up where we've been. Okay? So now we're going to move to the front legs. It's very start with trimming the Bichon. Sometimes you have to just forget about one and then come back to it, because it will be easier once you put the other parts in. It's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. So sometimes if you want one piece, you have to get the other pieces done first in order to figure out the bit you want. Okay, so that's exactly the same as we've just done. At the back, nice parallel front leg. I did just forget to actually put that foot in. So before we do any more, I'm going to do exactly the same with this foot as I did with the back foot. That's talking and grooming at the same time. So rest in again. The end of the curved scissors over the pad, and using the curve just to create a small bevel. Okay. You see the lift from the floor that that's just created? Hopefully. So now we need to put in the front and the back of the leg, making sure it's nicely fluffed up. Going back to my normal scissors. I like to put the front in first. Okay, so this is going to be really weird. Okay, so straight down, slightly forward to the front. And then I put in the front. In the back, straight down, just a slight little curve at the bottom of the pastern, just like it says in the brief standard. Okay, so that's a nice bit of shape starting to come there. Okay, so now I've done the ribs. We've done the thigh, we've done the legs. I'm going to match up the chest at the front and just scissor around the corners, because so far what we've done is put in a box shape and just the outline. So now I want to scissor around and drawing that up. Okay, this area should perfectly straight all the way down from the bottom of the foot all the way up. The area over this shoulder and the upper arm should be nice and straight. Gently blending in to where you've put your ribs in already. Okay, so that is this area. Now I'd like to make all of my legs rounded instead of box shape. So we're going to flip them back up and give them a good tidy. Just taking off the corners. It's important to hold your scissors nice and loosely and keep them from bouncing when you're trimming. Okay, so what you want bouncing is when you're snipping and you're coming away. It needs to, rather than that, be stuck to the dog. Okay. And in some areas, such as here, I'm actually scissoring nothing, but it's better to go with it and chop off the ends than it is to stop and start, because you're more likely to not be able to find the same spot that you was in before, or the same line. Okay, so I'm doing the same on the inside as I just did on the outside. I'm scissoring around the corners, so you end up with a nice rounded leg. The Bichon doesn't really have straight lines except the top line. They're a very rounded little dog. Keep comb, so you'll find any bits that you've missed. Okay, so that front leg is now round rather than a square. Okay, same at the back. Let's maybe fall off my darling. Good girl. Fluff it back up again. You sort of chop into the hair rather than actually combing like you would with a drop coat, because you want the coat to lift. Okay, so here I'm going to actually twist onto this diagonal so you can still see. Stand. Good girl. Head. It's important to have the dog standing square. Stand. Because otherwise, when they move, you'll see something completely different to what you saw before. And the hair will be in a different position. Okay. So combing is very, very essential, and so is stacking your dog correctly. Okay, so I've now made this leg slightly more rounded from the front. Make sure your leg's well blended into the body. Okay. And from the back, we're going to fluff this hock up. I'm going to take even more over the bottom, blending it in. So we have a nice, not only shape to the leg, so you've got that nice curve going on in there. I'm going to create the bottom of the leg where it meets the foot. That wants to be a nice curve. The hock should be low, so I'm going to take a little more off the top. Okay, until you've got a leg that you're happy with. Sorry. Okay, so there we have your nice angulated back leg there. Make sure over the bum you haven't got any bits sticking out. You want the bum to be nice and clear. I cleared it out earlier, but I'm just smoothing it out to the bits that were trimmed. Good girl. The tail itself should not be trimmed. It's an untrimmed tail, nice and natural. So you can see that back end is looking much more defined now. Okay, coming round to the head. You want to comb all of this up and back because you don't want to take anything that you want for later on. Good girl. Okay, so you want to be able to see the eyes. What I do is I've got a little pair of 6-inch scissors here that are just the right length for her little old head. So I'm going to scoop down tiny bit at a time, just separating it off and building stilts. Okay, so I'm just clearing out the front to set the line. I've already clipped out between her eyes with 15 and a small pair of trimmers. And then what I'm going to do is kind of, I suppose, like a schnauzer. I'm going from, good girl, across to the outer corner of the eye, from the opposite side of the nose, nice and close, okay? So the bottom layer has got to be close because the next layer has got to sit on it. You need a nice strong foundation. So can you see there how I've literally just pulled down this section and scissored that in first? Okay, everything below my scissors, that's all I've just scissored. I'm going to pull down the next slot, push the rest of it back, push it down, repeat the same angle, not quite so short as the last one, trimming in the front because I like this area to be curved. I like it when they look a little bit, when I see the softness in the face, that's what I want to see. Okay, so next bit has been done. Pull one more bit down. I usually split it into about 3 sections. And anything that overhangs comes off, slightly longer with each one. Okay, so now you can see we've got this section done. Okay, I'm going to pull her towards me slightly, go back to my longer scissors. Hoping you can see. Okay. Fluffing it all up. Okay, she's not got very much to come off at all. You want the hair to be slightly longer than the leather of the ear. It says so in the breed standard. And you want a circle here and a circle here. So just underneath the ear and scooping up. To make that angle there, okay? So start with the head above the eyes and then to the side. I'm going to do the same on the other side. This side's not trimmed in the body because I knew we wouldn't have very much time. Okay, so like again I said, not much to come off there. She hasn't got too much growth. Back to the front. So you put your shape in at the side, you put your shape in at the front between the eyes. Now you want to lift and create this circle, okay? I like to hold on to the front of the hair underneath the chin, just below the mouth, but really you want that nicely cleared out here, underneath, because you want that proud head carriage, okay? So if you've got a nice shorter amount underneath, it makes the head look higher. Okay. So as I said, curving it up. I'm going to give us a bit of a spray, just to help keep it where we want it. I always spray from the back to the front, so it's not going in the eyes. We're going to start scissoring. Good girl. Under to over. What I mean by under to over is start at the bottom and curve it up, just to create that lift. So a bit like a swing, I suppose. I'm just going from side to side, get that circle in, gradually taking it higher each time. Again, I'm not taking much off here because I've already been there, but I'd rather keep the motion going. It's better to take nothing than take too much. Same this side, working it up. So you can see it's starting to get this shape here. I don't need too much off the top because I'm still growing on top of the head. So this is where I start working it from the front to the back. So you have got a circle rather than a boxy circle. So what we're going to do from here, oh my darling, up you come, is then start putting in the crest. You want to get most of the head shape sorted, roughly at least. Like I say, part of the jigsaw done, so you can join the other bits up. So here, you want the crest to be thinner at the top, wider into the body, because that is what the neck should do. That is what the standard says. So I cover from the body, up and in, behind the ear, because we don't want to take any more off the ear. To create this part of the crest first. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Because I want the crest to still. So even though I haven't done the other side anywhere else, this is the area that I need to restand. This is where you really want to flick your comb up. Okay. What I tend to do with the neck, or the crest as such, she's got quite a light coat. Her coat's really nice, loose curls. I'm going to separate the coat. Do a couple of lines in at the root, because if the root of the hair isn't strong, it's not going to hold the top of the hair. Okay? So that's nicely flipped up. I've got hardly any at all to come off there, so I'm just going to tidy it. Just taking the ends off. I don't know if you can see. Okay. So then what I would do is, obviously I would have done the other side, but I haven't got a lot of time, so I did one side first. So normally the order that I would work in is top line, putting in the shape of the back end of the front end, putting in this angulation here, ribs, making sure the back and the front make a parallel from the outside and the inside, rounding it off, putting in the face, side head shape, and then obviously the crest last, because that's what joins everything up. Okay, so let me stack it correctly. What we've got here, head, go. Your basic Bichon Frise shape. Okay. Things also to remember, just while I'm having a little tidy up, is your equipment. Okay, so you need a shampoo that is going to lift the hair, nothing too heavy. You want something that's going to clean well. You want something that's going to moisturise. You really want a light conditioner, because if you have a heavy one, that is going to weigh the coat down. Head, good girl. It's going to weigh the coat down when you're scissoring, which is not what you want. You want a pair of scissors that are comfortable, that suit you. You would like a pair of scissors that are light enough to not dip into the coat. Curves or straights, doesn't matter, whatever suits you, whatever you prefer. stand here putting a finish on for ages. That is all just practice. The shape is what you need first because the shape is what's going to hold. Okay, as soon as the owner comes in, the finish is going to go out of the window. You can practice a good finish and put a good finish on any dog, but to know the shape of breed, that's where the underpinning knowledge is that's going to give you a good trim. Okay. Thank you for watching. I hope you've learned something. And have fun with your Bichons, your Bichon trims.